tell me a little bit about the history of the project. It's something you wrote, and I think one of you had a producing credit on it. Is that right? Or did Rooney have a producing credit on it?
Yeah, Rooney has.
So was that the previous incarnation?
Yes, it was. I directed Rooney in Tanner Hall, which
Right.
I did with Tatiana von Furstenberg, and then when that movie ended, we were both out of a job, and I said, I'll write you your next job, and that's how Emanuel came about. And then it took much longer than I anticipated to get the funding together and the rest of the cast, and by that point she was really not of an age to play a 17-year-old. So then we both decided it was time that I look for a new Emanuel, enter the lovely Kaya Scolodario. But Rooney really did help me develop that character and gave me notes and was there as like the pages were coming out of the printer. So I thought it was only fair to credit her as a co-producer because, you know, she had an active role in this character and this project coming to life. So.
Did it start with the character? I mean, what was the germ of the idea, and how did it?
It started. I mean, yeah, it started really with me wanting to work with her again because she's such a fabulous actress, and to me, I love actors and I love characters. So you know, that's really what I wanted to do, and so wanted to write about this girl who sort of got sucked into this sort of alternate reality for her love of, you know, of another woman, and sort of then kind of became protective and sort of, you know, and the whole fantasy of it all. So.
And I'm just curious, the whole idea of the water, of the fishes, was that something that was organic to the story, something that you saw from the very beginning, that Emanuel is kind of haunted by dreams of water?
It just sort of came out as I was writing it. You know, I kind of go into this like altered state myself, and things just kind of happened, and I just go with it because I trust it. I trust it more than I trust myself. So I feel like when I'm in that zone, I'm just like kind of wandering, and then that's sort of just what happened, and then I just kind of wandered with it. And we wandered onto this couch.
Well, at the actors, I mean, it's a movie that tonally could go in any different direction. It could be kind of supernatural. It could be kind of magical realism. It's played, I think, pretty naturally. I mean, I'm just curious, as actors, what were your conversations with your director about what kind of tone this movie should be and how you would approach these characters?
I think we kind of went in quite different directions. With me, it was sort of, I wanted to do it quite instinctually, and I kind of just went on to, I felt that Francesca's words I knew already, and I thought that was the most important thing for me. So I really wanted to focus on that. And she kind of had the trust in me to let me sort of just deliver it how I felt it should be. And then, you know, every now and again, if something wasn't quite working, we'd go in another direction. But like she says, she loves actors, and you can tell that. You can tell that Francesca really does have respect for actors and for our craft and how we work. And that just gives you a brilliant dynamic on set. So for me, I didn't want to spend a long time talking about the character or all those things, because being a 17-year-old teenage girl, I think it's far too complicated to just put down to something. It's something you go through. It's a life lesson. It's you deciding who you are as a person. And I'm 20, so I was there. You know, I knew all of that straight away. I could understand her loss within the world. I could understand the strained relationship with the parents. You know, that's something that every young girl goes through. And I was still going through all of that. So to me, I felt like I just knew her straight away. And there wasn't really much left for me to ask. I wanted to just go with it and see what happened.
Jessica, did you feel like you knew this character, knew somebody like her?
No.
Not at all.
That would be worrying.
That's probably good.
Yeah.
That's probably a good thing.
I had no idea about how we were going to do this, because Linda, to me, was terrifying, but also exciting, because that idea of creating this woman who's really filled with pain and grief and guilt and shame, and is constantly, I think, judging herself, and has judged herself so severely about what happened to her child that she had sort of a mental break. We talked a lot about tone, and it was constantly, we talked about character for hours.
Yeah.
I would ask a question and sit there and just write answers and thoughts, and just talking about how are we going to make this not absurd? How can we, Linda has to commit so truly, wholeheartedly to this fantasy, this fallacy this dream world that she's living in, that the audience watches it and you go with it. If you don't go with Linda, we are sunk. Like, it's over for us.
Yes.
And that's why I think
No
I was
pressure.
really scared, because
Meaning that she's a caricature. She is not somebody. She's not
she
somebody
could
who's
be
you don't believe
ridiculous.
her reality.
She
I
could
get
be,
it.
yeah. It's the reality that she lives in is so unbelievable
Right.
and so bizarre for people who have rational minds and who are able to deal with trauma in a really, I don't know, helpful or good, easy way. I don't know. It's her trauma is something that I don't know how you would actually come back from.
Mm-hmm.
So it was constant battle about how far do you go with it? Where are the moments that you can see kind of like, what's going on with her? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what is happening behind her eyes? What is it? And where are the moments where she's just, no, it's just raw, real, this is happening, and she's committed to it. It was, every day we were walking a fine line to
Yeah.
try to find the right tone. And
But Jess
you know.
brought such humanity to that character, you know, because she's such a lovely soul herself, and so it emanates from her, you know. So I think it's very easy as an audience to connect with her, and yet she has, you know, she brought that distance in the eyes where it's like,
Right.
you know, it's like, you know.
I get it, but
Yeah.
she's delusional without being dangerous in some ways. I mean,
A little dangerous.
a little dangerous, but she's not a threat to other people. She's maybe a threat to her own self more than anybody else.
right, and maybe a threat to
Who enters her inner sphere.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
because the manipulation that she's putting upon herself and Kaya's character Emanuel was
Right.
totally subconscious.
Exactly.
She's not trying to
Yeah.
put this girl who's already struggling with the fact that she lived and her mother died, which is a huge
Yeah.
burden to
Right.
carry as a kid and as a young woman, and probably for the rest of this person's life if she really existed. What happens, what is put upon her shoulders when she finds out what this woman is going through is like so much pressure. What do? Do you break the world and do you snap this
Right.
woman out of it and destroy everything that she's created for herself, or do you go along with it and then destroy kind of your own sense of what's real when you barely have a grasp on it to begin with?
You should have directed this movie. You're incredibly eloquent about describing it. Exactly. Kai, I want to ask you. I mean, this is the
It would have
kind.
been a disaster if I did.
This is the kind of performance that, you know, Sundance is famous for. Somebody who is maybe not known to a lot of American moviegoers. I mean, it seems to you like not only a great performance but a great opportunity. I'm curious if you're able to separate the two and have any perspective on the movie itself and what this does for you as an actor.
I think I've always kind of just felt lucky to be doing whatever it is I'm doing in that moment. So yeah, being here is like obviously the top so far. And it has been a wonderful experience, but absolutely terrifying. And it's going to take me a long time to kind of not be terrified of this whole thing because, you know, like where I've grown up, where I've come from, this doesn't really happen to people like me. So to be here...
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in North London in a place called Holloway.
Okay.
Prep. But yeah, you know, I'm not drama school trained. I don't have any family in the industry at all. I've never been around actors or producers or anyone at all.
That's all very healthy, you realize.
Yeah, it's great. And I'm really grateful for it because I feel like I've always wanted to inspire other young people that, you know, you don't necessarily have to come from a wealthy background or from a connected background to do something you love. If you really genuinely love it, it can happen for you. And I'm just still trying to fit in with it all. I'm still trying to kind of find my place in this world. But this experience and being here with this movie has made me so proud of myself and so like happy, because if it was anything else, I don't think it would feel the same.
Well, and everybody I overheard coming out of the movie last night was like, who the hell is that girl? I mean, it's exactly the kind of thing I think you want to hear.
That's lovely. And people have been genuinely so nice and so kind, and that's just, you know, that's just a great thing. And yesterday when we were doing the Q&A and everyone started clapping, I nearly burst into tears. I was like holding on so hard not to cry. I was like, oh, this is going to be embarrassing. But yeah, everyone has been great, and it's a brilliant movie. I think I'm more proud of the film than anything. And even if no one ever saw it, I'd still love it to pieces and kind of want it to stay that way. I said to you, didn't I? I was like, I kind of get, when I really love something, I kind of don't want anyone to ever watch it. But I'm glad they have.
Right. Keep
Hopefully
it
you're not
private.
in charge of
Yeah,
that.
wouldn't really work in the movie business. Let's go take your picture, because I don't want to be the guy that makes you delayed. We could talk for another half hour about this film, but I'm under very strict orders.
Thank
Turn it
you
over.
so
Thank you guys so much. Let's go do your picture. Thank you guys for coming in.